Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Alathrix, and of course, welcome back to the adventure mode where today we're going to be working in one of the blue portal areas in order to get our craft ready for the next phase of my plans, which is going to be to go through as many red portals as possible, possibly tripling, quadrupling our difficulty setting, and making sure the enemies which attack us are going to be very, very difficult. Now that doesn't guarantee large enemies, but it guarantees godlies and experts and things like that, which should be a serious challenge. Honestly, the smaller vehicles I'm a lot more scared of. Now, off camera, as you can probably tell, there have been some rather drastic changes. So the craft now has the ability to fly once again. In fact, I'm nowhere near finished adding the flying capability, but apparently it's so easy to make things fly in this game that it can already fly. I had originally intended these to be purely roll and control rotors, but instead they are strong enough to lift the entire craft into the air very, very quickly. The other really good thing about this is if I press number 9 here, they also increase our speed when we go under the water. Well, they increase the speed we can get under the water, I should say, since they do work absolutely fine underwater as well. So turning into our sub mode is a lot faster than it was before. Before it took about 10 plus seconds to go from water mode to underwater, but here we are, already underwater, and then we can shift that back into the air as fast as possible. All well and good. Now, the reason why I want an air mode is not for combat, so I'm purposefully building this quite frail. We have all of our rotors on the very outside of the craft. Although there is some armor around them, this will not protect against most weapons. We then have all the turning capability at the back, but ultimately, we could quite easily be destroyed in the air. Our bottom as well is also our most vulnerable section. The bottom of our hull is very, very weak in comparison to the top and the sides, so we don't want to be in the air. I just want it for movement. Essentially, the rules are the same as before. I want the underwater mode and air mode to be secondary, but normally we are just a boat or a water skimmer, at the moment just a true boat. This is just to add speed whilst we're going from portal to portal or trying to escape an enemy. So what we're going to do is add some more rotors to the back to finish off this look. I actually really like how it looks. I know it looks derpy. Everything I do at the moment looks derpy, but I really like this. Once again, trying to stick with the idea of everything we add is an addition, not part of the original. So blending it is something I'm trying to avoid, so it looks like it's been stuck on as we've scrapped things from enemies. We've been scrapping rotors and parts of flyers, and we've just put them wherever we can, in this case on the outside. Although I have added some more roll propellers here on the side as well, which of course are the Deddy Blades. These are way more effective than the old jets, and of course, once again, work underwater. So another reason why flying won't work properly for us is because of our weapons. They're placed in a position which does not like us being airborne. The railgun shells are too fast, so you normally have to be targeting near the enemy rather than up in the air, and of course the particle cannon is a direct line, so having it this high means we can't really attack enemy ships outside of missiles. Now I do want one weapon which I can only use whilst airborne, and that's going to be a turret which uses very, very long-range missiles, most likely just medium missiles, which will be carrying EMP. Essentially longer, more expensive versions of the side ones over here, with about the same EMP, but all about range. The idea is this is a weapon to use as we're running away. If the enemy's too strong, we can try and disable it as we get far, far away. It won't be ammo efficient, and it's only really going to have one purpose, and only active whilst we're airborne. Will I add more airborne weapons in the future? Maybe, but probably not. I do want to keep this thing as a ship, even if now it is clearly an airship, but still a ship, more or less. So, I'll be right back once I've started work on the next section of these blades, which are really simple, by the way. It's just a wooden casing, a little bit of heavy armor just purely for looks, and then all of this on top and bottom to make it look a bit more realistic in terms of the airflow. Way too many gaps, though, because that's how I like it. So, we continue. Now, the original plan, like I was saying before, is to use these rotors here, all as our roll, pitch, and everything else, so that we have a lot of control over the craft, not necessarily lift. But it turns out they are just that strong, we can lift it all by itself, which means we don't need any internal rotors, which was going to be where I was going to add most of the lift of the craft. So that's pretty nice. It makes us more vulnerable, honestly, doing it this way, but again, that's kind of just how we're going to be doing this. Now, before I continue, though, I do have something to note. in a previous video, I asked everyone to like the video, and I was so thankful to see so many people like it. In fact, it's now my second most liked video on the channel after just like a week, which is insane, so thank you very much. And after looking at the analytics, it turns out that, yeah, the algorithm loved that. So, all praise the algorithm, but I still hate asking for likes at the start of the video. So, I wanted to ask you all lovely fellows who are watching right now, would it be too intrusive if there was a sort of graphic at the bottom of the video about this point into a video which just says, remember to like, it helps out the channel, or something like that. Something simple just along the bottom of the video so I don't have to address it every single time and break the flow of the video? Or is that a little bit too much still? Does it still break up the video a bit too much? I do understand if that is the case, but I would like to hear some feedback. I could have asked in a poll form, honestly, but I love reading the comments because everyone has different opinions on it, and sometimes one opinion will resonate with me more than the others. So, yeah, just that. Would that be too much, or would that be okay? Because at the end of the day, I do want the channel to do well, and the channel is doing better at the moment than it has been doing in a very, very long time. Now, how I'm going to do this, I think I want it to be a little bit shorter than the front one, so it continues to go back overall. The problem with that is I've already kind of overshot it, haven't I? Well, I haven't overshot it, but I'm close. Yeah, so I can't do any more turning here. So what if we make this a little bit smaller, but then there's no space for the blades? I guess we could put the blade a little bit further back, maybe here. These are once again likely to be pitch or roll. So place it here, or maybe we go with two very small ones, one here, then use the smallest grate. That would make sense to me. At the moment, the grates have no effect. There they are, sorry, the ducts. Eventually, though, the plan is that things like these blades will actually need some airspace, and then this will provide it. And honestly, I just love how they look, and I never get to use them, so that's what we're going with. Yeah, I think I'll just add a couple of small ones instead. So maybe like one here, here, and then going in here, and then that's when that will finish. That way we don't have this blank bit here. Or we could even convert this into forward propulsion. There's plenty of space on the outside. I could have two rotors for that. Don't really know. I'm going to just continue on. You know, at this point I realise we're going a bit overboard with adding all of this to the outside of the craft, and yet I am completely fine with it. So like that, and I'm also realising this might have looked better on the front, having it curve around like this. Yeah, that's going to make the back look like the front quite badly, isn't it? That's going to be a problem. A problem for the next set of building on the front, though. So, it's fine for now. We're always going to change it later. As I keep on saying throughout this entire series. No. Yes. So, something like that. Then replace one of these beams. If you try and place it underneath, it won't work. Oh, we're done. Never mind. Already done. I'm forgetting what I've done 5 seconds ago. Yep, that's a good sign of my mental state at the moment. Stress makes Lathos go crazy. That really does look like the front if we're going to do this. Yeah, we can always add more to the front, and I don't want more weapons and stuff anyway, so it's fine. Just adding a little bit more to the bottom of these rotor sections, just to make them look a little bit more 3D. We can't really add much more to the top of these, because otherwise it would get in the way of the firing arc of the weapons. Originally, I did want to put these a little bit lower, but the problem was, when we're in the water, that looks really weird if it's underneath the waterline, so I only want the waterline to come up to maybe here or here, where the craft currently sits. Of course, I could have the craft sit a little bit higher, and then we could lower it down, but then that messes with everything else. At the moment, this is just the easiest way to place them. So, going to just continue this pattern all the way along, finish off these, then we can go back to the back section. This is taking way longer than expected, by the way. Adding all this air stuff now, this is like hour 6, I think. Obviously not since starting this video, just since I started work adding all the air stuff in general. Adding one more set of rollers. Let's just add a piece of metal there to replace that so it looks the same all the way around. Actually, we should put that a bit further back, shouldn't I? No, it's fine. It's not that noticeable. Okay. So all of these are just being controlled by the basic roller PID, which we had on before, which is also controlling the propellers. So everything is all hooked up to the same thing, really, which is nice and simple. It's all set just the default, and these are then just set to roller, and then that is absolutely it. It's very simple, just lots of them. I really like how these look, actually, in the hull itself, in the deck, I should say. Okay. I've also now finished adding some more texture to this, so now the bottom of it isn't quite as flat, which I like. Now, just to finish off the back, as I keep on saying before I end up doing other things, and then I think we're good to go through the red portals. Oh, wait, no, the weapon. We still need to add the weapon afterwards. Bit of a change of plan. Rather than hooking it all the way around the hull, we're just going to leave it like this. This also gives us more space, so later on if I want to increase the size of these blades, I do have the capability to do so. In fact, I can do that with any of these blades. All of them have at least, I think, 2 or 3, maybe even 4. Blocks worth of gap on all sides, except for the front. The front is maxed out. Because originally I wasn't going to have all this extra pitch, so I wanted one really strong set of pitch, which means I wouldn't have to add more, and then I ended up adding more anyway, so yeah, just extra stuff. Saying that, I don't like how much space we have here. Change of plan being reverted? Potentially. How about if I do something like this? Just have a really simple corner cutoff. Then remove this corner and have it like that. You know, that might be better, and once again, not making the back look really like the front. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So another thing I forgot to mention is one more reason why I wanted to go back into the air soon was just because I have had enough of fighting subs. They are so boring to fight because it's just not visually appealing. I don't really mind fighting them, it's actually not too difficult with our torpedoes and everything else. But you can't really see what's going on without making the water way more transparent, which I really don't want to do, because then it looks weird for everything else. Subs are fantastic and very powerful, but they are very, very dull to play around with, especially in this mode. In other modes, where you can go into third person and everything, and it's not such an issue, that's less of an issue itself, but in this mode, I want to be able to see the thing I'm exploding, not just see 2 damaged after I fire and I think I've hit it. Well, I mean, if it is 2 damaged, I'm assuming I've hit it, otherwise it just gave up. Now, for the weapon underneath, we have 2 options. First of all, we could have a vertically dropped missile system, so the missiles drop down, they turn towards the target, they go towards the target, they say hello to the target, EMP breaks their face. Or we could have them on a turret. Now, having them on a turret makes them far more exposed, it's jutting out of the craft. Ultimately, it's worse in quite a few ways, but what it does mean is that we can quite easily add, if we go on over to missiles, loads and loads of the ejector add-ons, so they get a burst of speed to begin with, they are instantly going in the right direction, and even if we're very, very low down close to the water, we're not really dropping them, so there's no chance of them getting stuck in the water, they're going straight to the target. Now, you can use the ejector add-ons and have them set to different angles, so you can still kind of fire them forwards, even if you are mounting them horizontally, but I mean completely forwards at full speed. So I think that's what we're going to go with. So, center of mass is there, so I'm just going to build it there if we have enough space. The underside of this craft is kind of awful at the moment, since I've just been adding things here and there once in a while. That is the problem, though. These things are going to get in the way. They're saying that we don't really need these as much anymore. These are what keep us at a stable level in the water, but we don't really care about that as much anymore, since we have giant blades doing the same thing, so removing some of these really isn't an issue. And honestly, I should build them into the craft itself anyway, like I've done at the back here. Some of the old pitch blades, the old pitch propellers are actually inside there. You can just about see them through the gaps. Well, actually, you kind of can't. It's really difficult, but there are blades there. They just need some space behind them to work, and that is enough space. So I should really do that with these as well, but for now then, I'm just going to remove all of them. Remove some of that bit of lead, which is going down the middle here. And figure out where I'm going to put the turret. So I'm thinking I will be using medium missiles, but I'm also kind of tempted by the small ones. No, the medium are just easier to be alive for longer. We'll need less regulators to get them going to a decent distance. Because I don't want to build upside down, we're going to build on the top instead, because that just makes everything easier for me. We really don't need the 3-meter axis turret here, but I'm going to go with that anyway, just because I prefer how it looks. Okay. That is way too much fuel again. Well, not necessarily if we add some regulators to this. I've already set the thruster to max. So just going past 2 kilometers now. God, our ship looks weird in the background. It looks like a glitch. And now it's vanished. Wait, how did I get down here? I was up there. Game. What are you doing to me? Okay, let's try that again. So apparently I'd actually forgot that we have different sizes of missiles on this thing. We have 3 versions, so the first missile I fired did not have maximum thrust. Do you know what I'd kind of like to use, because I never use them? Where are you? Fuel and control. The turning thrusters, they look awesome. But no, we'll keep this for now, just as it is. Really basic missile this is. Looking at the stats right now, okay, that's almost perfect. Lifetime is 20 seconds, that's before it detonates by itself. If I wanted to increase that, I would add some more regulators. And we have the thrust duration for 20.6, so we are really, really close to that being exactly where I want it to be. Don't really need the EMP warheads all at the front like that, but that's how it looks. Okay. Sort out all of those, and yeah, that's fine. I mean, going more than 3 kilometers is more than enough, and currently they're going like 4-ish, so that'll be absolutely fine. We do, of course, have the free internal space. We could be messing around with that instead. We can add things like EMP, high explosive, extra reinforcement, which makes it really difficult to kill with anti-munition systems, or just fuel, but right now that seems perfectly balanced, so only 0.6 seconds left of the fuel before this thing runs out. Okay, I'm going to set to that instead, and go. And that's it. Really simple. Just a few EMP missiles which will go against the target at a decent distance. Now, what I could do is remake how I've built this and add 2 or 3 missile ejectors per missile launcher, as my voice apparently breaks. Okay, so these are now using 2 launchers each. Again, though, this is more than enough range. Oh, that's what's happening. The turret's knocking me off. Okay. Okay, first test of the weapon. There they are. Different speeds because a couple of them could only have 1 ejector with how I did the armor, but yep, that's fine. Need to set it to a different number though we are running out of how many numbers we can use for our weapons. That's kind of annoying. 2 is currently the railgun. 3 is the particle cannon. 4 is right now the new missile system and the small missiles, though I am considering replacing the small missiles soon anyway. 5 are the regular missiles, which again I am considering replacing with better versions. And 1 is the torpedoes, which look very funny when being thrown out of a jet. Well, an airship. How is it gaining in altitude? Okay, I expected them to keep their altitude for a while because of the fins, but I didn't expect them to gain altitude. Okay. Well, that is something we found out about our torpedoes. They can apparently attack aircraft. Because of course they bloody can. Now, one thing we could do in the future is, when we have enough resources, is we could replace that missile system with a second particle cannon. Not a particularly big one. It can be really overclocked, since we don't want to use it too much. And then we could also use it versus enemy subs. In fact, honestly, I am tempted to add an anti-sub torpedo system on a turret. We can either have them dropping down vertically, it's less of an issue if it's going to be a torpedo, or we could have them like that, which could give us additional speed when they first fire. Because the front-facing torpedoes, although they have been working, they're not the best. They're really not. I am considering replacing them with something else. Even a laser system at the front, just for the fun of it. A laser system is very much on the table as well for a future weapon, but for now, I think we are just about done. And it's about time we go through the portals in order to find some enemies. Although I am really running out of time, so let's go through a portal, shall we? Let's make sure this thing works. Okay, is there any portal at our altitude, or am I going to have to change our altitude? I'll change it. Oh yeah, turning is also way better when airborne because, you know, air resistance is far less than water resistance. How much speed can we get? I haven't actually checked the speed of this thing. If it's above 40, I'll be happy. 50, 52, 56. Will it get to 60? Almost. 59, really. This... Fine. Okay, it's turned back into a ship to go through the portal. Nice and easy, as you can see. And the blades keep us very, very stable in the water, at least in terms of our altitude. Actually, they should keep us more stable in general, now think about it. We are turning slightly, and I think that's because we are a bit too much out of the water. Now we're turning the other way. Okay, yeah, that's just definitely us gaining our balance, all the PIDs. Back in the air. And so now we just find portal after portal after portal. I want to at least double the difficulty we're currently sitting at. That's the idea, at least. And in case anyone was curious, this is how the ship now looks in airship mode. And honestly, I really like it. Normally, I don't like my own builds, especially when I'm trying to build Ramshackle, because I'm not very good at building Ramshackle. But I like this, I really do. I feel like it's going to divide opinion a bit, but... yeah, I really like it. It's a bit too two-dimensional in many ways, but now everything's all together. We have the back rotors as well. I feel like it really does look like something that's been built up layer by layer as the resources have become available. Our second portal is within view. I really should increase the speed of this thing. If it's going to be mostly for getting away from fights, then that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I could turn this into basically a giant jet. Oh, that would be awesome. Having it as a custom jet, which only turns on manually. So it wastes fuel, so we have a very limited fuel stock, for instance. And then if we need to get out of there, we can turn on this huge custom jet that runs through the entire spine of the craft. That would be interesting. We also still need to add the steam engine to this thing, which is definitely something we're going to do in the next video. It's what I'm going to do while I'm waiting around for enemies to attack us, while going in circles. There we are. There is an enemy, but it's a tiny little aircraft over there. Nothing really to consider fighting right now. Lovely. Back up again. Actually, how does this thing look whilst it's in its boat mode? That's my question. It kind of looks like a drowned airship. Interesting. But for now, we continue airborne. Going south, apparently. Well, I'm afraid, though, I am all out of time for today's video. I feel like I didn't get all that much recorded for this episode, though a lot has happened. We have converted the craft significantly now. We have a new weapon system, along with, obviously, a whole new movement type, and honestly, I am really liking how the craft is evolving. We do need to add more weapons still, there's still plenty of space and lots of stuff to do, but we are getting there. I don't feel like this is going to get much larger than it is currently. It's just going to continue to have more and more expensive stuff added to it, so heavy armor replacing the metal, metal replacing the wood, etc, etc, just making sure everything is up to scratch, and even the weapons becoming more expensive. I mean, the railgun has more space around it, which we can expand into, same with the particle cannon. There's loads we can do there. Ooh, will I be able to go through this, or am I going to have to descend a little bit as we get there? It's hard to tell. Wow, portals everywhere at the moment. Again, vanishing though. Why do they keep on vanishing on me? Everything I love runs away. Oh. Turn down our thrust. Okay, let's go down. There we go. Perfect. So we're now on difficulty 9.9. I want to get to at least 20, maybe a bit more. So that is going to take a while. Now, before I do the proper outro, I would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been giving me well wishes and just so many kind words at the moment with everything going on in real life. For those who aren't aware, I'm just going to say exactly what's going on now rather than just saying, real life is difficult at the moment. At the moment, my mother managed to contract the coronavirus quite early. For the last 2.5 weeks, she's been fighting it off, thankfully now finally showing signs of recovery. The ambulance was called once, and she almost got sent to hospital. It was a bit borderline, but she stayed home in the end, and just ultimately it's been utterly miserable. My father is now also sick with the coronavirus. Amazingly, they managed to hold that off for 2 weeks by separating the house into two, but as you can imagine, all of this and my inability to help or do anything is slowly driving me a little bit more insane than I normally am. So if I suddenly vanish for a day or two, you can probably tell why. Now, that is likely going to be the only time I talk about that in a video. I just wanted to make it a bit more obvious what's going on, just because I might vanish suddenly, or I might seem a bit off in some of my videos, because I am a little bit all over the place at the moment. But I won't mention it again, because it is depressing, and there's enough stress to go around already. So, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourite, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, have a lovely day, do take care, and goodbye. Also, I'm not even going to bother with this resource zone, so no.